Greetings, my magnificent ones. Sue Paulson here, your magnificence mentor. It's episode number 18 for the Heaven on Earth series. Today, I want to talk about what matters. This is a big topic, and yet it's a simple topic. Many, many years ago, when I was first in adult stage and making my way into the world, what mattered to me, of course, was grassroots survival, was focusing on getting a job and being able to live from day to day. So that was a big focus. I was fresh out of high school, finding work so that I could afford a place of my own and put food on the table. Those were things that mattered to me. Well, as I achieved that, found a job and was feeling a little bit stable, it mattered to me that I kept my mind active, because the work I was doing was not that, it was physically demanding and a little bit challenging, but not, it didn't really engage my mind. I was working as a messenger, delivering mail throughout the corridors of this large building in this large company that I worked for. So I'd come home at the end of the day and I hadn't been particularly intellectually stimulated or whatever. And so it became important then to say, well, what could I be learning? So in those days, I was focused a lot on learning. Well, one of the things that I want to talk about in relation to what matters is that depending on what's going on in your life, what matters to you can shift and change. Now, there are always certain values that we cherish and treasure that will matter to us from the day we understand them right through to the day we die. There's no question about that. The value to me of loving others and being loved, that matters to me, and that will never change. So there's those that are kind of set, and we say, all right, those are kind of cornerstones of building our lives, and those matter to us, and so no matter what, we stick with those. In addition to that, then, and maybe it relates as much as anything to the doing, what we do could, and I think, I guess what I've learned is for my own benefit, does make a difference if I do things that matter to me, that I put myself in situations or positions that I say, wow, that matters to me at this particular point in my life. And so I'm focused on that. So we can think of the stages of life when you get you start having children, then of course their well-being matters to you, and so you do whatever you need to do to make sure that you can afford to feed them and clothe them and send them to school and have them involved in activities, all those things that are important in raising children. So we might be totally focused on the work that we're doing, even if we don't necessarily like the work that we're doing, but it's a means to an end. It gives us what we need to look after our families, which has great meaning for us at that point in time. Well, of course, as we shift to a different stage of life, where maybe the kids are gone off to college, and the house is empty, and then there's this, oh, now what? Well, we have these pivotal moments in our lives. It would be all too easy, because in this day and age, there's such a plethora of activities that we could be involved in. It would be all too easy to just do busy work, to just fill our days with, well, meaningless jobs and, things that do need to be done, but they don't really contribute to your soul. They don't really uplift you or send you into a growing mindset or an expanding headspace. They're just there to do. So, but I see lots of people filling their lives with that. And they say, well, I can't really do what I want because I've got this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And I think it needs to be flipped around. Like I've found that if I flip that around and say, well, let me think about, first of all, what matters to me the most right here, right now? What would get me there? What actions do I need to take, or thoughts do I need to think? How do I need to organize my time so that I can most do what's most important to me most of the time? And then fill in the other activities, the busy work stuff, the essentials of life that don't contribute maybe as much meaning, but can make the road a little smoother, the path a little easier. So just a quick example, when our son was a teenager and we were wanting to have a little more family time together, and we're feeling very pressured with all the demands of life. And it turns out, of course, that none of us cared that much about housework. We all like to clean and tidy house, but nobody really wanted to do the work. So it was done kind of grudgingly and kind of half-assed, I guess I would say. It was okay, but it wasn't great. So then we got looking at our budget, and I said, if we had a house cleaner come in once a month to just really do a thorough clean, and then we could keep it up in the meantime, I said that would give us more family time, and we would have a more peaceful, nicer environment. So it mattered to us to have that nice, peaceful environment, but none of us really wanted to do it, except we were willing to contribute some cash towards it. So we tested it out. And, that was one of the best gifts that we ever gave ourselves as a family, because while the cleaners were cleaning, we went out and had family time together, and with no responsibilities. And, we usually went for pizza, I think. So every time the cleaners came, the Friday after Friday after Friday, when they came, we had this lovely time together. And I remember it so fondly. And I'm thinking, so why were we stressing for so long about that? Well, of course, we had to get to a point where we could actually afford a house cleaner. And there were lots of years when we couldn't. And not everybody has that luxury. But I mean, you could trade services with someone. If you absolutely love to bake, and your neighbor loves to clean and they don't like to bake, well, you can trade services. And there you go, and get those needs met in a different way. So it's about looking at what matters to you. Well, probably since I probably was 9 or 10, I had this inner, I guess it was a question mark at the time, but it was a yearning, really, this inner yearning to make my mark in the world, to make a difference. I felt that things weren't as good as they could be, and I wanted to help in some way. So I had this inner something that compelled me to search, compelled me to look, compelled me to engage. So it wasn't too long before I found myself volunteering for a variety of things that mattered to me, to contribute in some way, to contribute my talents, my skills, my time, whatever it was, because I believed in what that particular organization was doing. If it related to feeding the hungry, or making our world a better place, then I was engaged in that as a young person quite a bit, because it meant something to me. It felt right. It felt good. Then when I hit the personal growth arena in my 20s and realized that I was so much more than I had ever been led to believe, that and of course, in realizing that about myself, recognizing that everyone else was so much more than they had ever understood or were taught, that there was a key here, and I wasn't sure which lock it fit. I wasn't sure which doors it would open, but that this flowing out of me, like, this really mattered to me in a big way. So I began to participate as a volunteer in workshops that help people discover more of who they were, the self-awareness, the self-understanding, and I didn't know at the time, I didn't have a word for it. It was all leading to magnificence. Well, I was in my 60s before the word magnificence and the concept of heaven on earth really landed in my space. And for a while, I didn't know what to do with it. But here now, I recognize that not only do I have the ability to talk about it, not only do I have some experiences to draw on that have led me to shine a light on this particular topic, but that it matters to me, that it really, really, really matters to me, that I get that I am magnificent, and you get that you're magnificent. Because when we think of that, there's so much more that we could do with what's going on in our world, because what matters to you might be entirely different than what matters to me. That's not the issue. Then you go do what matters to you, not this mindless. I see far too many people involved and absorbed in distractions. We have plenty of them. We have a gazillion television channels. We have all kinds of mobile devices that we can be absorbed and distracted by funny little videos and little quips here and news disasters going on around the world, and that just not only suck our time, but in some cases suck the life out of us. And at the end of the day, we go, okay, did I do anything today that meant something to me? Now, for lots of people, that question doesn't even arise because they're so absorbed in the kind of nonsensical debris that goes on around them, that it doesn't even occur to them to ask the question. But if you're watching this, I bet you're asking the question, or you've thought about asking the question. So this isn't for people who are quite content to be engaged in that illusory world that's there to suck the life out of us. You're not watching this channel if that's you. And so I think I can safely say, if you're watching this, then you've wondered too. You want to know, well, how do I get absorbed in what means something to me? How do I engage? We see it all around us, people who are engaged in what has meaning for them, because we hear them. They speak out, and they speak out loud, they speak out often, and they're there because that has meaning for them. Well, what has meaning for you? What is it that you feel compelled to do, driven to do? I'm not sure that I chose the concept of magnificence and the heaven on earth scenario without being nudged by spirit, without this little voice that said, well, Sue, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? And it's caused me to wonder and to think and to dialogue with other people, and to connect with you, to say, well, what about this? What would that look like? And it's a different world than I feel I currently live in. And yet there are parts of it that compel me to keep moving forward, to say, okay, what else? What else? What am I missing? Or what else could I add to this? What it's like this gigantic jigsaw puzzle of an unlimited number of pieces. And well, where does this piece go? And where does this piece go? And where does this piece go? Well, the puzzle of my life is coming together. And I don't know that I'll ever be finished, because it feels as if there are infinite number of pieces. But the essence of it, the picture of it for me, seems to rest in the meaning, seems to rest in what makes my heart sing, what gives me that joy, that energy, that desire to keep moving forward. Well, it's because of what it all means to me. It's because I know that even though I'm an infinite being, I'm here on this planet for a finite number of years. Well, I want to do my part. I want to do what I'm meant to do and what I'm here to do. Do I always know what that is? Nope. The way I do things today is vastly different from the way I did them in 1974, where I stood in front of a group of awareness students and read a script that taught them how to do a form of active meditation. Well, now I have video at my disposal right in my own home. I have audio. I have multiple devices that I can post content on. I can reach across the globe in a big way, where before people needed to be right in my own town and right in proximity to me, where I could be with them face to face. I enjoy face to face, and I love being in the company of others of like mind. It's just not as it doesn't happen as often at the moment as connecting with you via these amazing technological devices. So here I am doing it way differently. And how is that going to happen in the future? I'm not sure. And I'm excited about finding out, because I expect it's going to get easier in some ways. It'll probably be more difficult in others, but it'll be easier in some ways. And still, my message has maintained the same substance, because finding out who we are and who we are in all our magnificence means so much to me. So your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to really have a good think about what has meaning for you these days, at whatever stage of life that you're at. What is the most meaningful thing you could be doing? When that's your foundation, when that's your core, then everything else can settle in around that and make it and make your life work. So, but when we hang on to the essence of me is, and the essence of what's important to me is, and we can put some words around that, or a picture around that that says, whoa, then everything else starts to settle itself around it, because you have that determination in you, that compulsion to say, well, maybe I have no clue how this is going to work, but I still have this vision, this desire, this sense of what's important to me, what I value the most in this moment. And then we take all of the other things that we value, that are the cornerstones of our lives, that don't shift and change. They maybe just grow bigger or grow stronger or have a higher level of importance. When you add that to what matters to you right in this moment, then you've got a pretty solid foundation to move from. So that's the challenge for this week, is to decide what matters to you, and then look around and say, okay, I need a little guidance on how I'm going to manifest that, and then see what happens. If you're enjoying the Heaven on Earth series, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. You can also get, this is number 18, if you've missed some of the other episodes, you can always download The Magnificence Mentor, my mobile app that's a free download from Google Play or Apple Store, and get more content. Sign up as a free member. You'll have access to all the content on there, both video, audio. I had a Tea with Sue series for a couple of years, and that has morphed into Heaven on Earth. So there's lots of content there that you can play with and share with your friends, and just the idea is to uplift you and inspire you to be your magnificent selves. Until next time, have a great week.